What is up, duelists? It's Chaotic Neutral, and do y'all know what time it is right now? It's morphin' time! Because today we're talking about Dinomorphias. So we've got this Dinomorphia deck here that I took to locals this past weekend and went undefeated, went 4-0. Round 1, I believe, against a Dark Magician Exodia deck, I think. Round 2 against Fire King Tri-Brigade. Round 3 against Shadal Invoked. And round 4 against Tenpai Dragon. But the deck performed very well. I'm pretty proud of it. So I'm definitely excited to get into it. You know, show what it's made of, show what it's made of, show what it can do. And but anywho, so we'll go ahead and get into it here in a little bit. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And speaking of subscribe, thank you all for helping us to get to our 50 subscriber goal. It means so much. And currently we are waiting for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Stupid to get to the 100 subscriber threshold. And as soon as that happens, then we are going to do a joint giveaway. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're subscribed to this channel, definitely consider going over and subscribing to Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Stupid as well. There's some amazing content over there. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing to this channel and also subscribing to Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Stupid. But anywho, so we'll go ahead and get into the deck. So first we'll talk about the dinos in this Dinomorphia deck. We've got 3 copies of Dinomorphia Theresia, 2 copies of Dinomorphia Diplos, and 1 copy of Miscellaneous Source. So Theresia really gets the ball rolling on a lot of your Dinomorphia plays. When it's normal or special summon, it allows you to set a Dinomorphia trap card directly from the deck, so it really helps with getting the fusion plays going. Then we get the 2 copies of Dinomorphia Diplos. I'll be honest, this card sucks, but we gotta have it because you gotta have the names for the fusions. 1's too few, 3's too many, and we, as of yet, do not have any other Dinomorphia main deck monsters, so we've got what we got. The main thing that it does is it allows you to, if it's normal special summon, it allows you to send a Dinomorphia card from your deck to your graveyard. But like I said, we mainly have it for the name to do our fusion plays. And then we got 1 copy of Miscellaneous Source, hashtag have you read Mist. Yeah, it kind of sucks this card is at 1, but I get it. This card does some pretty crazy things. So one of the main things is it helps you protect your Dino plays. If it's in your hand as a quick effect, then you can send it from your hand to the graveyard, and for the remainder of the turn, your dinosaur monsters are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. And then also, when it's in the graveyard, you can banish a number of dinosaur monsters, including itself, from the graveyard, and then you can special summon a dinosaur monster from your deck whose level is equal to the number of dinosaur monsters banished by the effect. So it can be a good way of getting Theresia out from the deck to just go into some more dino plays. But anywho, so that's our dino monsters, and we'll get into some of the other monsters hanging out in this deck. So we've got 3 copies of possibly one of the most, if not the most hated cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Dimension Shifter. Yeah, I know people hate this card, but honestly, with a graveyard heavy format right now, if your deck can run it, probably should be playing it. Just really helps. This deck isn't quite as able to just play like through Shifter like as well as as Flunderies can do, but it is like still able to play through it. You just have to think through your moves a little more, but it definitely does help. 3 copies of Wannabe. This card is nuts in a trap-based deck like this. It's essentially prosperity for traps in a sense. Basically what it does is at the end phase of, during the end phase, either your turn or your opponent's turn. If it's in your hand, you can send it to the graveyard, and then you can excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of your opponent's unused spell or trap zones. And if any of those excavated cards are a trap, then you can set it directly to the field from the deck. The only downside is that at the end phase of the next turn, if that set trap card hasn't been used yet, it goes to the graveyard. But it's a nice way to just go ahead and get something on the field that you can use, get a little bit of advantage. And then we've got 2 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. It's helpful for protecting your face down cards in the back row, and then also can get a big body on the field and also get your just be able to put another trap on the field. To be honest though, this didn't really come up at all during locals, so I am considering switching it for maybe something like a couple copies of Triple Tactics Talents or something. But anywho, so this wraps it up for our monsters. So let's go ahead and get into the spells. Alright, so spells is a pretty light list. We have 3 copies of Pot of Duality and 3 copies of Fossil Dig. Yes, I know I have a weird, unsettling rarity mix. No, I don't care. But anywho, Pot of Duality, of course, it allows you to excavate 3, put 1 in your hand, shuffle the other 2 into the deck. It does lock us out of special summoning during the turn, but that's okay because we're pretty much going to do all our special summoning on our opponent's turn. Fossil Dig allows you to search for a dino, either to get to your Theresia, start things off, or to get to your Miscellaneousaurus, just to be able to have that in your hand to protect your dino plays. But like I said, pretty short list for spells. That's it. So let's go ahead and get into the traps. So the traps are really the meat of this deck, and we'll start with our Dinomorphia traps here. We've got 3 copies of Dinomorphia Frenzy, 3 copies of Dinomorphia Domain, 3 copies of Dinomorphia Intact, and 1 copy of Dinomorphia Alert. Frenzy is the best. These 2 cards handle our fusion plays. Frenzy, best fusion card in the deck. It's a quick way into your boss monster Dinomorphia Rex term. It allows you to, you pay half your life points. Dinomorphia involves a lot of life point pain. Pay half your life, and then it lets you use a Dinomorphia monster from your main deck and a Dinomorphia monster from your extra deck as the fusion material in order to go into a one of your Dinomorphia fusion monsters. The only thing is that you can only use Frenzy during your opponent's turn, during your main phase, to be exact. Domain, you can use it during either your main phase or your opponent's main phase. Pay half your life. It does have to be 2 different monsters from either the hand, field, or main deck. So, Theresia and Diplos, or if you have a fusion on the field that you can use. It is kind of Frenzy but worse, but it does allow you to go into some things. And also, both of these cards, when they're in the graveyard, they have another effect where you can banish it from the graveyard in order to protect yourself from effect damage. We've got 3 copies of Dinomorphia Intact. Once again, involves paying half your life points. It's essentially kind of a Solemn Strike for Dinomorphia, in that it negates a monster effect. So protects you from that, and then also it has an effect in the graveyard where it allows you to banish it from the graveyard in order to shield yourself for battle damage for one particular battle. Then we got Dinomorphia Alert. This card right here, of course, pay half your life points and allows you to special summon 2 different monsters from your up to 2 Dinomorphia monsters from your graveyard whose levels combined equal 8 or less. So pretty much going to be Theresia and Diplos. But allows you to get them out on the field. So it can be like if your resources are pretty much all in the graveyard and you need to be able to do another fusion play, like with Domain or something, you can do that. If you need a little extra cushion to protect from battle damage, you can use it for that. But it can definitely be helpful in certain situations. But that's the Dinomorphia traps. Let's go ahead and get into some of the other traps in this deck. So to close out the traps and to close out the main deck, we've got 3 copies of Soul of the Supreme King, 2 copies of Ferret Flames, 2 copies of Solemn Strike, and 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Soul of the Supreme King, you pay half your life points and allows you to special summon a copy of Supreme King Zark from your extra deck. And then it stays on the field until the end phase of the next turn. And it does negate Zark's effects. The Zark would still have to do its whole mandatory activation on summon, but it's just not going to be able to do anything because Soul of the Supreme King will negate its effects. But also, while Soul of the Supreme King is in your graveyard, but Zark is on your field, if your opponent activates a spell card, then you can use then you can use the graveyard ability as card, banish Soul from your graveyard and banish Zark from the field in order to special summon up to one of each Pendulum Dragon, Fusion Dragon, Xyz Dragon, Synchro Dragon. So you can definitely get some nice extra deck stuff out of there to just further mess with your opponent. Got 2 copies of Ferret Flames. This basically just lets you send monsters on your opponent's field back to the deck if those opponents if those monsters' attacks are greater than your life points, which, because Dinomorphia involves so much life point pain, isn't going to be a problem. Of course, Solemn Strike, pay 1,500 in order to negate a special summon or a monster effect. And then Solemn Judgment, pay half in order to negate a spell or trap card or to negate a summon. But yeah, so that is it for the main deck. And why don't we go ahead and take a look at the side deck while we're at it. So for the side deck, we've got 3 copies of Super Poly, 3 copies of Nibiru, and 3 copies of Evenly Matched, because board breakers definitely matter right now. We've got 2 copies of Lightning Storm, 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster for the back row removal, and then 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit with Tin Pie running around. You definitely want something to be able to pop Sanguine Summoning, or to take care of like certain problem cards. Like if they dare to activate that effect, just use that to pop those, get that out of the way. But that is it for the side deck, so let's go ahead and get into the extra deck. So starting with our Dinomorphia extra deck monsters, we've got 2 Rexterm, 3 Kentrigina, and 2 Stealthburgia. Rexterm is definitely the big boss of this deck. It's just such a crazy card. Basically, it's a walking skill drain. And one of its big ability, monsters on the field that have attack that is either greater than or equal to your life points, they're not able to activate their effects. And then also, you can use this ability, pay half your life points in order to make the attack points of all your opponent's monsters equal to your life points. So, of course, this deck is all about lowering your life points. So, when you're getting to like weird, like double digit and sometimes even single digit life point totals, just lowering your opponent's monsters' attacks to those just makes things like really nutty. Got our Kentrigina right here. So, it does technically have 4,000 attack, but Kentrigina's thing is that its attack is always 4,000 minus your current life points. So it gets stronger as you get weaker. But also, too, that it can, you pay half your life points for cost, and it can banish a Dinomorphia trap from your graveyard and then duplicate that trap's effect. So allow you to go into use Frenzy or Domain to do another fusion summoning, or to use Intact in order to negate a monster effect. Just all kinds of crazy things it can do. And we got 2 copies of Stealthburgia. Stealthburgia, it's mostly there for a name to use off of Frenzy in order to get to your Rex term, but it also has some like nice little abilities of its own. For one thing that really comes on handy when your life points start getting lower and lower, if it's on the field, you don't have to pay for effects that would cause you to pay life points. It just allows you to not do that. So just when things get really dicey, like if your life points are below 1,500, but you still want to be able to use Strike, you can do that. Or if you get to that one weird place you get to sometimes with Dinomorphia, where you've got 1 life point, but you can't divide it, this allows you to still use your effects. that would have you paying the life points. It also has a nice little effect too, where while it's on the field, if your opponent activates a monster effect, then you can force your opponent to take damage equal to that monster's attack. So under the right circumstances, Stealthburgia can actually win you a game. But anywho, so let's get into some of the other extra deck cards here. All right, so like I said, we're also playing Soul Supreme Kings, so this is the stuff that would go in with the Zark plays. So we've got our Supreme King Zark right here. And then we've also got, of course, its effects don't really matter. It's just 4,000 beat stick. The effects don't matter because they're going to be negated by Soul Supreme King anyway. But then we've also got right here our Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon and our Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. Now you can't bring both of them out with Soul Supreme King's Graveyard effect. You can only do one of them. So you do Crystal Clear Wing if you're more concerned about spells, and you do Crystal Wing if you're more concerned about monster effects. Like if you don't have like access to your Rex term at the moment, it's early in the game or whatever, you need a monster negate right there. Otherwise, later you're probably more likely to go with your Crystal Clear Wing because like you'll be able to address both effects with your Rex term, but also spells with this. Got one Odd Eyes Rebellion Xyz Dragon, kind of just nice little beat stick. To be honest, this isn't really factor in much either. I'm considering replacing it with maybe Odd Eyes Arcray Dragon to be able to just kind of like drag out the effect, the disadvantages that your opponent would have of using spell card while Soul Supreme King is in the graveyard, because it you tribute Zark to get to it, and it kind of functions as Zark, but it won't get taken off the board like at the end of the following end phase. Anyway, so that's the Zark stuff. So let's go ahead to the last little bit of the extra deck. Alright, and then to close out the extra deck, we've got one copy of SP Little Knight, one copy of Typhon. Really no need for explanations there. And then, of course, because we're playing Super Poly in the side deck, we've got one copy of Garura and one copy of Mud Dragon, just the easiest ones to get to be able to take some of your opponent's stuff off the board with Super Poly, and just be able to definitely benefit you some with that. But anywho, so this has been the Dinomorphia deck. Like I said, performed very well. I might make a few changes, but overall I'm really proud of how it did. But anywho, like I said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, both for here and also for Yukio is Stupid. To keep your eyes peeled for when we do that giveaway coming up once he gets to 100. And until next time, happy dueling.